was cleared, and then the investigation part on our suspect in locating and identifying him.
Were the 4 injured students?
Yes.
All 4?
Yes.
Parents still picking up their children?
I'm going to let Dr. Parker talk a little bit about that. I don't want to get that confused.
Well, good evening. Under these circumstances, we're speaking right now, students are being transported home. We have a parent pickup area at the tennis court, and we also have called for early bus pickup, so our buses have already staged and have picked up the remaining students that have not been picked up by their families. So we are reaching out electronically to parents to keep them informed of this situation. And we also want to confirm that all students are at home safely this evening. So we're working out details on how we'll do that. This was very chaotic, but I would say that the police and local authorities handled this matter as best possible to make sure students were safe throughout the, from the time I arrived, we had the area contained. We allowed parents to pick up students who were on site and put verification processes in place to ensure that students our middle schoolers were going home with their actual parents and our guardians. So I want to commend the police for allowing us to manage our students safely and allow access for our parents even during an active crime scene. That was, if you can understand, that was very chaotic, and there were a lot of folks who were really traumatized by this matter. I also want to commend the Heritage staff who protected their students, made sure they exited the building, made sure they got to a safe area, and also were with us throughout that time to make sure that to assist with crowd control. Principal Hunter put out accurate communication in a timely way to parents and families. Under these circumstances, we can only respond, but I think our staff and our local authorities did a wonderful job. So
Have you talked to the parents of the kids that got shot?
No, ma'am, we have not, and when those students are identified, that will be one of the first things we will do is make sure that we reach out and support those families.
How does your school system protect students from other students bringing guns in? Are there any metal detectors or any search perimeters at this school?
Well, in many cases, we do random security checks of that nature, whether we bring in a dog that does random searches, or we bring in metal detectors to do random searches, and we also do searches off of buses randomly. So we do not. Every kid does not walk through a wand every day in most public schools, but I feel that we actively provide some level of deterrence for our students on a daily basis to ensure that our schools are safe.
Can you speak to the location of the shooting?
That is something that's under police investigation at this point. I have not been inside the building other than to make sure that proper communication went out, and I have not involved myself in the active investigation at this point.
What are you telling parents who maybe have not been able to get a hold of their kid right now?
That is what we're working on right now, and as we receive reports, we will work with those families to identify their students to make sure that that if we still have them, the students are calling with their cell phones. Some students, as you can understand, left their cell phones in the building. So they were not able to reach their families, and those are kids we're concerned about, making sure that they have transportation to their home. We send out early dismissal messages. So we will be working with parents throughout the day to make sure that they have put their eyes on their child.
And what has this been like for you, running everything and dealing with this terrible situation?
No superintendent or no teacher or principal would want to ever go through this situation. Just seeing the faces of our students and how afraid they were under these circumstances, and our staff who were traumatized. We have had grief counselors on board on the tennis court, talking to families, talking to students, and no one would want to go through these circumstances.
And some of the kids that I was speaking with say they practice for this type of thing, and that they had gone through drills. Tell me what you do to prepare for school shootings.
Our primary approach is to shelter in place, make sure that you do not create a hard target. And to make sure that if someone is looking, that they have to get through a locked door, they have to really go through on a search pattern to find a student and staff. So once the school goes to lockdown, it's all about creating harder targets for any active shooter to find the students.
How often do they practice that?
We do those regularly and periodically throughout the school year. Just to make sure that we have a regular, just like fire drills and other things, we do active shooter drills, we do evacuation drills, other things that might help us make sure that students are safe. We know that we went to lockdown and students were sheltering in place for quite some time and then evacuated under police guidance.
Given that somebody was able to get on campus with a gun and use that gun, do you anticipate discussions going forward about how you can lock down that security even better?
Absolutely. We'll begin that work in the next few days. Students I anticipate will be on virtual learning for the next few days. as we work with staff and work with our families to ensure that we have a safe way of returning students back to in-person instruction soon. But that will not happen until we have discussed this matter and looked at better ways to ensure that something like this never happens
So
again.
virtual just for this high school?
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay.
Do you have any reason to believe that this was somebody from the community who just walked onto campus undetected?
Ma'am, I can't speculate on an active investigation at this time. I know that Chief Drew and his team are working on those details, and we'll continue to provide updates on that.
As for parent pickup, obviously we're all standing here, a ton of parents are here. I know no suspects in custody. Is it okay to still come get your kids in an orderly manner?
Yes, I would say if you walk to that tennis court, you'll probably have to get through at least 30 police officers, law enforcement officers to get to that point. And we have staff in there making sure that parents are identified when they pick up their child. The bus drivers that I see are loading now. I see the buses over to the right, and those buses are about to dismiss. So we feel confident that any parent coming on the scene right now can access their child. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was the latest from Police Chief Steve Drew as he